So if you're not already aware, My Hero is about to wrap up its 6th season very shortly here. But before it finishes, I wanted to do an overall thoughts and impressions video. Obviously, I could just wait till the finale to come out, but I'm just so excited about the show. I really want to talk about it. So I'll probably do a full video dedicated to the actual finale when it comes out. But this is just my overall impressions and like encompassing thoughts so far, being almost done with season 6. First off, let me just say season 6 has been epic. That's probably the easiest way I could describe this first season, is just epic. I fell off of My Hero honestly a while ago. I was always into the show, but I just felt like it was kind of going downhill a little bit. Maybe I was just tired of the constant hype moments that were always kind of bombarded with slow plot lines in between them. But this honestly might be the first time in a long time that I've personally felt like My Hero had consistently good action and storytelling at the exact same time all the way through. I've always felt like it could do each of those things well, but I really honestly just didn't feel like an entire season did both of those things equally well. And this is the first season that consistently does both, honestly. But wow, I can't even begin to explain how hyped this season was for me. First off, the obvious paranormal liberation front versus our heroes, that whole battle was honestly just the most insane battle the show has done, in my opinion, and that I've seen in a decent amount of time, honestly. There were a few surprises here and there for me. One of the biggest surprises was Hawks. I really enjoyed his character in this season. Not to say I didn't enjoy him before, I always was kind of interested in his character, but this season really solidified him as kind of a top level character for me. I also feel like Hawks had a lot of self-discovery as a person in this season, and that just made me like him even more. I love when they humanize, is that the right word? Humanize, godlike superheroes with wings and stuff like that. When they can bring them down to a more human level, I think it makes a sort of relatability factor just jump off the walls, and it really, really worked here with Hawks. The same honestly could be said about Twice, the villain, who honestly they really stepped up this whole like traditional villain henchman role and made me really like Twice as a character. I mean, we kind of already knew a lot about Twice and his general like mental state, really, but I think this initial conflict that this character has in this season really makes me just wow. Like, I think it really made me feel things that I didn't think I would feel for that character. Obviously, I'm not trying to spoil this, season for you guys. I still want to be a little vague, so I'm trying to give my thoughts, but not, go in depth too much to where I'm spoiling anything. Speaking more on the battle itself, Deku and Bakugo have some great moments here as well. I think this moment when they're charging into the battle is one of the coolest scenes that I've seen so far. Also, I'm just gonna put it out there, Eraserhead this season is just, dude, he is not to be messed with. Eraserhead probably has some of the most insane scenes in this season too. Again, not going to talk about what specifically, but dude, there's this moment where this character is just like, you're a badass, Eraser, and in my head I'm like, yes, like that is exactly what I'm thinking.
You're such a badass, Eraser.
Like, honestly, just even talking about the show, this is the best this show has been since, in my opinion, the All Might versus All For One fight scene that they had, where All Might, goes through his thing and whatever. I feel like the show really hadn't hit that peak yet in a long time until right now. Also, just have to mention it here, One Piece has their Afro Luffy. We finally get our Afro Midoriya, so that's awesome. But real quick, back on Bakugo before we kind of move on. He has some great moments here. I really liked what they've done with his character so far. There's a moment where he does something a little bit unexpected, and I love that they're building up his character in a way that even he's kind of confused about his general motivations, because it's just so unlike him, but it's also like, it's a good thing, but it's also, I don't know, I just love what they're doing with his character. It really makes me excited for what he might end up being and where he might go later on in the series, because we do know that My Hero is starting to, get into its last big section of the show here. So I'm excited to see what they do with his character. This is also kind of like maybe the end game of My Hero. I'm not sure if they're planning another huge battle sequence later on in the show with a bunch of heroes, but I feel like this is the first time that we've seen all these heroes together at once. We see literally every hero that we've seen so far up to this point in this season, or specifically in this battle. Mount Lady's there, Kamui Woods is there. Every character that we've seen really is there. We also get some huge, just insane Dobby moments in this battle, especially towards the end, like the tail end of the battle. Again, not gonna get into it, but man, the Dobby storyline and kind of where they're pushing his character is just gonna be, I feel like that's a whole, that could be a whole spin-off show, honestly, like the whole, show about the family line and everything that he's from. I don't know. It's just, I'm so devoted to finishing and getting through this show, not even just because I like it, but purely because of Dobby. I think his storyline mixed in with kind of where he comes from is such a insane, not to say a dark dark twist for My Hero, but I feel like My Hero's mostly lighthearted. There's a certain Naruto character that I'm kind of getting a vibe that he has the same sort of backstory with, but like similar backstory. But overall, the Paranormal Liberation Front versus our heroes is one of the best scenes. Well, not scenes because it goes through a majority of the season, but it's one of the best parts of this show that I've seen so far. It really kind of rejuvenated my love for the show. It really made me excited to continue watching My Hero. I haven't been this excited about the show in honestly such a long time, so I'm glad it's kind of picking up the pace. It is a little frustrating because the show is apparently going to be ending soon, or the manga's ending soon, which means the show's going to be ending soon. Either way, so that the battle scene is great. It's awesome. I loved it. Now, in the aftermath of the battle, I think this is really interesting because the show does a great job at keeping the momentum from that battle afterwards, because a lot of shows, and especially movies, I mentioned Endgame earlier, something like that, where you have all these characters do this massive battle, and then the attention and kind of intensity just wears off after a little bit because we're not, the stakes aren't as high anymore, right? Well, the aftermath manages to keep that momentum, honestly, for me, really, really well. I was still glued to the screen way after the battle was done. I also think what they're setting up here with Shigaraki and All For One kind of having some conflict maybe is super interesting. I think that's going to make for an incredibly rich, deep storyline, especially because, Deku obviously wants to try to, save Shigaraki. He doesn't necessarily want to kill him. So I think there's this whole conflict of will Shigaraki stay aligned with All For One the entire time? I'm not sure. And in the aftermath, we do get more Dabi stuff with his storyline and his backstory. Again, super intense. I'm so glad they're addressing him and his backstory so quickly after that battle. I thought they were honestly going to kind of sweep it under the rug for the rest of the season or for a few more episodes. But directly after the battle, they get into his whole backstory. And I'm glad that they're not playing games with us and, doing like a part 2 or something like that. I also really want to get more information on these two characters that are One For All users. These two guys that are facing the wall. I want more information on them because we really barely meet them and talk to them at the very end here, so maybe in the finale we get more information from them. Also, one of the hardest scenes is in the aftermath when they show Deku and kind of his next steps here in the storyline after the battle. Kind of gives like Dark Knight Returns vibes. I don't know, I think it's so sick. I'm just really excited because this aftermath post battle takes a completely different turn. I mentioned the Dark Knight Returns just a second ago. It feels like that. It feels the show is just taking a super mature vibe and everything's going to get more intense and more darker and the risks are going to be higher. I feel like the show is definitely gearing up for its big end game kind of, moment. If it can be better than this, great. If it can be on par with this, that's fine too. I'm just really excited about this show. It's so fun. It's so refreshing to finally have where I'm feeling now like the show actually has a place where we're going. We're not doing some stupid festival where they're singing. We're actually going somewhere in the story that is going to have huge real world, effects. So I'm just so excited for the show. Again, I'm probably going to do a full finale specific review once we get to that, but that doesn't come out for another 2 weeks. So I just want to get this out there. I love My Hero Season 6. If you guys are watching it, let me know in the comments what you guys think about it. Did you like it? Do you hate it? I'm going to hope you like it and you got good taste, but you can click here for watching my initial impressions on Blue Lock, and click here if you guys want to know if you should read or watch Chainsaw Man. I appreciate you guys watching to the end. It really does mean the world to me, and have a good one.